Hey everybody, I'm Eric, and today I watched Young Justice Outsiders episodes 1, 2, and 3, which in the entirely, I'll refer to it by the series number, episodes 47, 48, and 49. Now, I have not watched season 1 and 2 of Young Justice. I got a little bit caught up on with a just like a kind of a primer, an article online about the previous seasons leading up. I skimmed through it. I figured I'm just gonna jump right in with season 3, get into this new exciting stuff, and try to figure out what's going on. And I was a little bit intimidated at first. So spoilers. I'm not gonna go beat by beat, even though I took like way too many notes. I'm not going to go through all of these notes, but I will be talking about some stuff that happens in these first 3 episodes. So if you haven't watched it yet, then I recommend just go watching it. If you don't have, okay, this show is starting with season 3 here. I don't know if there's other easy ways, free way, or like part of subscription ways to watch the first 2 seasons. It might be on Amazon Prime. I'm not sure, but I have a feeling they probably pull it off of there if it was on there in the past. But this new season is exclusively, at least in the United States, it's exclusively on DC Universe. And I was a little bit bummed. I was a little bit bummed out that this is the only new show for a little while. I think Swamp Thing begins in February. It's a live action. So I've been excited about the new live action shows, but this is I like this show a lot. But I was in as I was saying is that outside of the United States, I believe all of these DC Universe shows, at least for now, are available on Netflix. At least check it out, investigate for your particular location. But I remember reading that somewhere that outside of the U.S. that all these shows are on Netflix. But anyway, I was intimidated in the first episode because it's like all of the characters are doing stuff, and I was like, how am I have no idea what's going on. I don't even know who a lot of these people are, and they don't refer to each other by name very much. And I'm like, I assume that's Wonder Woman, but is it Donna Troy? I'm not sure. And that ended up not really mattering too much. The important thing about the first episode is that something's strange in the neighborhood. That there's a child that's been turned into a monster that Black Lightning accidentally kills with his lightning blasts. It like destroys her heart. But she's this monster, this big lava monster thing. So how are they supposed to know it's actually a kid? And so they're this whole thing. I wasn't 100% clear on why this mass resignation happens in the Justice League. Like everybody quit. Batman quit. Green Arrow quit. Black Lightning quit. A bunch of other people quit. And so that we see outside, and as they're like coming out, and the sidekicks are hanging out there because they can't actually go inside. And they're like, what's happening? And so this episode ends with a secret mission set forth, brought together by Nightwing. He gathers Superboy, Black Lightning, and Tigress, and they are. It's a Black Ops mission. There are no super suits, and Superboy is wearing a Superman t-shirt. He's like, that counts. Get rid of that. And so that's the first episode. The first episode is called Prince's All. And the inciting factor for this is that the whole thing is that they're trying to fight metahuman trafficking, stuff like that. and it's because there's a problem going on, and seems to be centered in Markovia, and the Markovian king and queen are assassinated, and so they're going on a mission to Bedlam, which is that's the castle in the capital, because the capital is called Markovberg or something. Anyway, names, details, that's not important. So the next episode, it opens with a PSA from Gar. He is now a star of a hit show, Space Trek 3016. He plays Lieutenant Turk, and so it's a bit of fun to open each of the episodes. But that leads into footage of the UN having a metahuman summit, and it transitions very nicely into the action of them breaking into Bedlam, and all of that. What was it? No, that was the cliffhanger to the next episode. Never mind. That transition was awesome too. Like this show, I could see totally working in live action, and that the assassination there's blood all over the place. So this is not for young kids. This show is not for young kids, even though it's called Young Justice. It's young in regard, like teenagers. It's probably fine. I don't know. Watch the first episode and decide for yourself. There's not like language or anything like that, but there's lots of blood in that first episode. So the team goes in there. The thing that I like most about this team, so there's a Twitter post a couple days ago asking, what are your top 5 DC characters? And I responded, Batgirl, Nightwing, Batman, Batwoman. I think it was in that order. But I had Batgirl twice on there because there's been multiple Batgirls. Number 1, Cassandra Cain, Batgirl. Number 2, Barbara Gordon, a.k.a. Oracle. And number 1 Batgirl, a.k.a. Orphan. I haven't read any... I have read some current stuff, but Orphan hasn't been a big part in Detective Comics in what I've read at the start of Rebirth. So hopefully she is a bigger part later on, a little bit more of her doing stuff. But I didn't realize when I read that I hadn't read any of her original run, which was Volume 1 of Batgirl Volume 1. That whole run, I ended up getting the entire run, but it's so far it is actually the only run of comics it's longer than like a mini series, like a 12-issue mini series. I've read quite a few of those. This is like an entire run of a comic. It's the first time that I've read and completed that a whole run, and it's pretty awesome. I really like it. It's collected partially. It's not entirely collected in trade paperbacks. I realized after I started collecting the individual comics that I already had like the first like 30 or 40 issues in the trade paperbacks. I think there's like 73 total. Anyway, the thing I went off on that tangent because one of my favorite things about the show so far is that they have these like special ops masks and like eyepieces on, so that they have like a operating heads up display, and they're able to talk to each other and stuff. And they have like their symbols for each other on there, and they all have the 4 symbols for the 4 that are working together for this. But Nightwing, he is the only one who's talking to Oracle, and none of them know that he's talking to her, and she's helping him a lot. And there's a moment in the beginning when they're spying on the event in the beginning of the second episode that he and Tigress are spying on the event, and he like responds to a text message from Oracle out loud, and then she's like, what do you mean? Because he like agreed with something, but she had said something like really bad to agree with, or something like that. It was a really funny moment. But just so Batgirl Oracle has a presence throughout these two episodes, the second and third episode, just as text messages, and it's like my favorite part. And like, even if Batgirl wasn't one of my favorite characters, that aspect of the episodes was still won me over, because it was really funny stuff. It adds a nice layer to it. But anyway, they're spying on these people, and they suspect everybody. At first, they're like, "Oh, it's probably the princes," and then they think, "Oh, it's this doctor and the family physician. It's probably them." They're like, "Oh no, wait, it's probably this Baron guy who's dressed all up in his uniform and all of that." So there's two princes. There are two sons of the Markovian king and queen, and so they're the prime suspects for doing this, because one of the sons will become king, the other one doesn't. And the one who doesn't, his name is Brion, and I've spelled it Brion, like Brian, but an O, but that's probably not how he actually spells it. Nobody spells it out. Nobody spells his name, so I don't know how it's spelled. Could have turned on the captions, but I don't trust. They probably would have thought it spelled like that too. They have a character list. I'm sure they're given a character list. But anyway, they like break into Bedlam, and they find all these pods filled with kidnapped kids from a hospital. And so Superboy, he's not Superboy ends up being captured. We learn that this creature, that they're being turned into these creatures. They all end up being the same creature somehow. The successful ones become creature that they call Plasmus. So this one of the failed children, she wakes up when she's being buried in this mass grave, and she has some powers. She has an energy shield, and she blocks this like energy whip that this guy has, and saves herself and Tigress. And she has a hard time remembering things because she died. Now she's back, and it ends up being that she has healing powers too. Is that she died again later on? Like, oh my god, she like another plasma creature just grabs her by the face. I'm jumping around these episodes. This happens in the next episode. He just grabs her by the face and like slams her to the ground. Like, holy crap! And then it's like a Gus Fring moment. She sits up and her face is all melted on one side, and then she heals. Like, what? This she's got some good stuff going on with these powers, but she has no idea who she is. They call her Halo Girl, or Tigress calls her Halo Girl. I think she's the only one who calls her that. Anyway, throughout this whole episode, Black Lightning is feeling huge guilt for having killed that Plasmus creature in the first episode, because it was a child, and it's he has a lot of trouble trying to fight these things, because he doesn't want to kill him, because he knows it's actually a kid that's been brainwashed and transformed and all that kind of thing. So the main supervillain behind this is Vertigo, and so he's the one who gets the jump on Superboy and Nightwing down in the bowels of the building where all the kids are in these pods. He calls them metamorphosis pods. But Brion, he comes down there and he's like, you're stealing sick children. He says, no, it's not. Vertigo isn't doing this. It's that Dr. Z, I think Dr. X, whatever. I didn't write down his name. And he says, they're not all sick. Like that makes it worse. That he says it as if that makes it better. But makes it even worse, because you're taking the healthy kids too. Like, not that healthy kids are better than, you know what I mean. it's bad. It's still bad. It's not, doesn't make it any better that they're not all sick. And so Brion and Superboy are put into these pods, and they're filling up with sludge going into the next episode. We had a great interview in the beginning of the next episode with Lieutenant Turk, played by Gar, about Space Trek 3016 and his like romance. Oh, and the catchphrase. His catchphrase was, "If you see something, scream something." So if you do see anything as far as meta-human trafficking out there, scream something. Just anything. As long as it's something. Let's see. Yeah, so this episode, it just, everything goes bonkers. Brion gets powers. He turns into a semi-plasmous creature, but he's not completely transformed. He has some control over it, which Superboy kind of tries to talk him through it, like, hey, you can just breathe, you can focus and get through it. But then he's framed. That Nightwing throws up. He doesn't throw up. He displays. He puts up on a projector the news story that the Baron is saying, oh, Prince Brion was all about this metahuman trafficking stuff, and that pisses him off. So he goes back to the palace or castle or whatever, and he wants to hunt down the Baron dude. It turns out that Baron, what was his name? It was Baron DeLam, and that was it's an anagram of Bedlam. So I don't, was Bedlam is like the secret, I don't know. Anyway, so he goes and fights him, and then they're fighting a Plasmus on the beach, and all this battling going on. But Black Lightning, he after her Halo Girl gets wrecked, just face smashed into the ground, Black Lightning is like, okay, that's it. I know it's a kid, but this kid this kid monster is killing, and I need to stop it. And he ends up breaking a thing that's on its back. I guess that's the mind control part of it. And it stops the creature, but then and it seems like everything's gonna be all right because Halo Girl is healed. They defeated the monster, although Vertigo got away. I realize now that I said that I wasn't gonna go like all the way through my notes, that I totally did. I'm into the show. I'm way into the show now, and I'm gonna learn more of the names eventually. Well, a lot of the names I didn't learn were like one-off characters or whatever. So Nightwing ends up knocking Baron out. I don't know what powers Baron actually had. He was just like a big solid rock looking dude. Not Dwayne Johnson looking, but like he was made of stone, it seemed. Like all of them were kind of variations of Earth based powers, outside of just the Plasmus lava beast type thing. Because Brion didn't completely turn into that. He just had like rocky outcrops, like he's wearing some rock armor, and then was able to melt into the ground to like travel and stuff. Could be kind of cool. See more of that. But Nightwing knocks him out. Brion gets exiled by his brother because this whole thing is doesn't look good for anybody. And then Plasmus, he remembers what happened. His sister is the one that Black Lightning killed in the first episode. And then a local guy shoots Plasmus with a shotgun and kills him. It was Otto. That was his name. That Plasmus's name was Otto, and his sister was Anna, I think. But so the brother and sister are dead now, and that's where we leave the episode, with Vertigo having fled, and now we have two potential new team members with Halo Girl, if they ever find out her actual name, and Brion, who will, I'm sure, come up with some cool rock type name. Maybe. Just call yourself The Rock. So that's it for those 3 episodes. Man, talking about for the length of one of the 3. But I liked it a lot. I'm going to keep watching it. And if I am able to, I will keep recording episodes about it. I'll try to keep it a lot shorter than this time. But this does get me a lot more interested in some of these characters. Tigress especially. I don't know anything about her, aka Artemis. I know absolutely nothing. I was confused. I had to look up. I didn't have to. I would have found out if I just kept watching. But I was like, I don't want to be just focused on trying to learn her name. I'm just going to look it up real quick and then press play again. But she's the one. I had no idea who she was. I thought, like, because they didn't really do anything in the first episode as far as like powers and stuff. I was like, oh, is that who did I think it was? I thought it was maybe yeah, I don't even know who I thought it might be at first. I thought it was maybe she was Donna Troy, because at that point I had realized that it was Wonder Woman in that first scene, because anyway, I was very confused in the first episode, but I'm way more interested in finding out more about her, looking into some other stories and stuff, reading some of the comics that she's in, especially if they're on Comixology Unlimited. And Black Lightning also, I don't know anything about him, and I do have season 1 of the live action series that I've been meaning to watch, but I've only watched literally like 6 episodes of Arrow, and then everything after that I haven't watched yet. Well, I've seen most of season 1 of Supergirl, but that doesn't really count because the crossovers don't happen till after have watched of that. Anyway, so I'm excited for more. I'm more excited than I expected to be, and I think that's pretty cool. I think they did a good job of it. It's not the absolute best of the best animation ever, but it does its job. I like the art style for the most part. It does run into the kind of thing, if they didn't have like costume differences, Superboy and Nightwing, they look the same. They're the same. They have the same face and all of that. So it's potentially confusing, but they do different enough stuff that it hasn't been a problem yet. But like when he goes and gets him, oh, Superboy proposed to his girlfriend. I don't know his girlfriend's name or anything, and now fiance. I guess she's an important character. And was that Crypto there at the house too? He is huge in this. He's like the size of a bear. Gigantic dog. I thought he was like the size of like a golden retriever. But he's gigantic in there. Anyway, yeah, in that scene, I only knew that it was Superboy because he had that Superman shirt on, with the S logo. And because once they were in the same, like I knew it was Superboy. Other than that, but my point is that those two characters' faces just look the same. Anyway, so that's it. Let me know what you thought about Young Justice episodes 47 through 49. It's pretty cool that they're doing 3 episodes a week, or roughly that. I don't think the math adds quite up. I think the last 2 weeks of this first half are only 2 episodes each or something. I looked at the release dates on the app, and I think it was through episode 13. And so it doesn't, it's not it's a prime number. So you gotta change up the groupings to not just groups of 3. But anyway, next week is 3 episodes, so I'll talk about those. And just out today, if you are listening to this on YouTube, technically watching it, but there's no video component to it, give a thumbs up and all of that. But otherwise, if you're listening to this in a traditional podcast sense, then just share some links. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. If this is just a one-off listen, subscribe to the podcast. You can do that at tiwpodcast.com. Tweet me at tiwpodcast, and just share links with friends. Let me know what your thoughts. Write a review on iTunes or leave a comment on YouTube. Do any and all of that. And I'll be back this time next week, roughly, for the next 3 episodes of this and a whole bunch of stuff before then. Tomorrow, I'm going to start my rewatch of Lost. So stay tuned for that as well. Thanks for listening. This has been Today I Watched, and I'll see you soon. Bye.